This week on Cageside Seats, the podcast, we're talking Thunder Rosa's championship victory, WrestleMania's terrible build, and the passing of the bad guy, Scott Hall.
Welcome to Cageside Seats, the podcast. We don't have a good name, but we do have great opinions. I'm your host, Stella Cheeks, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Marcus Benjamin.
What's up, Stella? And hi, people out there in wrestling podcast listening land.
What's up? Just here podcasting with you on a Thursday night like we do.
Yeah, that's always the plan. Yeah. So how do you feel about the week? I know that's not your question, but I'll take it. How do you feel about the wrestling
You can take
week?
it. It's a symbiotic relationship. How am I feeling? Well, I feel like a broken record, but it was really like a roller coaster this week. There were some like really intense things that happened. Obviously, we'll talk about it, but there was the passing of a legend. One of my favorite wrestlers broke his neck. There was a lot of crying for me for both of those things. So a lot of crying, but then also some like tears of joy with some championship victories and stuff. And then, befuddlement as in like, how many weeks are we from WrestleMania? Oh, what? Are you sure? So it was just like an emotional it ran the gamut this week.
For me, it was not a great week. I don't feel great about wrestling this week.
Yeah,
because of the things you said. Obviously Scott Hall passing, Biggie, the broken freaking neck. Raw is not great. Oof. Raw is not even good. We're going to get into this, but when the WWE champion of that brand is not even on the show, what else do you need to know?
Yeah,
like that says it all. And NXT was fine. It wasn't my favorite week of NXT. It was fine. It was cool. Dynamite. It feels messed up to just say, yeah, Dynamite was good. Dynamite's consistent. So
but
yeah,
Dynamite wasn't perfect either. I mean, we'll talk about it because it's definitely the thing that's living rent free in my head. But even with the championship victory, which was so totally exciting, like it was really rushed. Like they have a timing problem.
Yes,
a lot.
Yes.
And it's consistent. So it's nothing in this week was perfect.
No, nothing at all. And again, Dynamite being good Dynamite's normally good, but it still has those rough patches that I would hope, and that you would hope, most people would hope, after 3 years of this now, they'd have those kinks ironed out at this point. Like we would know what we're doing. It's okay when William Regal, who is fresh to the scene, goes over for a little bit. That's fine, cool. But this is an every week thing now. But we'll get into that. But yeah, it's just and then we got SmackDown tomorrow and
Rampage at midnight. I'm not watching that. I haven't told the bosses, but I'm not doing it. This is their warning. I'm not doing that.
I didn't remember some midnight until you said it, because they were like 11:30. I'm like 11:30, cool. But then I'm like, yo, basketball games aren't going off 11:30, man. Like, don't give me that. Yeah. It's gonna be 11:45 at the earliest. 11:45.
That's a pass for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be at the earliest, and this is Eastern Standard Time, 11:45. So AEW would be lucky if they get 10 minutes of my time tomorrow.
And for a pre-recorded show that has no consequences that I could just watch the next day, yeah, that's right. I'm not staying up for that.
The beauty of DVR. Oh, where would we be without it?
Oof. Well, let's jump into it. Let's get sad. Scott Hall passed away this week. Kind of out of nowhere. He went in for a pretty routine surgery and it went poorly. And even routine surgeries, it's still surgery, right? Like anything can happen. And unfortunately, he was put on life support, and they made the decision to pull him off of life support. And so I feel like not only did his family not really get his family, including Kevin Nash, not really get a goodbye, but it like kind of took the wrestling world by storm. Like, oh my God, it was like a wild 24 hours or so. And obviously Scott Hall, we poke fun at the Attitude Era a lot, and at the Monday Night Wars and stuff, but like that was a really important and pivotal time in wrestling, and especially wrestling fans of our age, like where I'm pretty sure like your age, we're millennials, right? Like that's that is our bread and butter, right? So
Yep, that is our nostalgia. That's where
right.
it's like, let me nestle in this 1998 Nitro and just feel
Yeah.
warm.
We
Ah,
we
okay.
real literally grew up watching this man, and he wasn't very old. I mean, he was coming back and doing talking segments and stuff really recently. Like was still very much a part of the lexicon, and he was a just fundamental, like a fundamentally important person, as a person, but as a wrestler, as a gimmick, as a whole package to wrestling. And I'm kind of stumbling over my words a little bit because it's hard to talk about, right?
Right.
He we I wrote in the intro, like, the legend, the bad guy, like, he is a legend. He is an icon. Like, he it is impossible to sum him up in just, like, a quick little sentence. And honestly, like, I'm getting a little, like, choked up. Like, it's hard to talk about, like, when you know, the people that you grew up with, like, pass away. It's tough, man.
Yeah. No, I understand. It's especially because like so as Razor Ramon, Scott Hall always had a special place in my heart because Razor Ramon's theme is my favorite wrestling theme of all time.
Really? I didn't
Like
know that.
it's so dope. It's with the tires screeching and then just
Yeah,
it sound like in to the point where his character was a riff on Scarface. It sounds like something I'd hear from Scarface.
totally.
And it's like Razor was just so cool. So not even talking about Scott, just Razor was so cool. The
Right,
toothpick.
he made that
Yes.
cheering for the bad guy what you wanted to do, right? Like, that is kind of the
Yes.
beginning of, like, I'm cheering for the heel because the heel is cool and the heel is who I want to, like, buy the merch for and stuff. Like, that is kind of, he's not the only one that did it, but that is kind of the beginning of, like, the blurring of the lines of, like, who do you cheer for? Like, I don't care if
Right.
he's the bad guy, he's the cool one. I wanna see
He's the
him
cool.
beat up these
He's
nerds.
exactly. He's not lame. And then just to as a figure, like you said, legendary. But look, wrestling aside, like I'm talking about, like in the mat wrestling aside, Scott Hall is one of the most important figures in the history of wrestling. Period. Not even as a wrestler, but just from a business standpoint.
Mhm.
Going to WCW when he did was huge. That NWO angle was huge. The contracts that he and Kevin were the first to get, huge. Because
Mhm.
now, because of those moves that they made in 1996, 1997, 1998, that a lot of people frowned on, a lot of the boys, quote unquote, the boys frowned upon, that these guys and gals now are reaping the benefits of that. Like they all get to revel in the footsteps that Scott did. Like Scott took all those. Like there's a Jay-Z line that me and my friends always laugh about because it can be used in any sort of thing. But Jay has this line where he says, "Hove did that, so hopefully you won't have to go through that." So Scott did that, so they didn't have to go through that. Scott just and just from not just from that standpoint, but just understanding where wrestling needed to go.
Mhm.
Like he was so ahead of his time. He knew, in 95, 94, like, yo, the stuff that we're doing is not working. And here's why it's not working because the fans are smarter than this.
Yep.
And we need to
We need
not
to be
talk down to
real.
them. Right. We need to be real with them and not talk down to them. We need to not pander to them. We need to be on their level because they know. And not only that, but we need to not only be real with them, but we need to be a little edgier. We need to like,
It's the
let's
90s, baby.
right, like let's stop doing this 1980s product in 1990. Let's move on. And he and Kevin and Sean and Triple H to a degree all knew where this was going, and Kevin and Scott definitely, spearheaded that movement of like, all
Yeah.
right, this is where it is. If not for Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan would not have there is no second coming of Hulk Hogan.
I was just gonna say that to for like a younger guy to not only have the wrestling smarts and the theatrical smarts and the business
Mm,
smarts to be like, no, I know what I'm doing and I know how to do this and I know my value here.
mm,
I'm gonna
mm.
pit you against each other. But to be able to do that and be like, help bring somebody from the past up to like new relevancy,
Mm.
that is like once in a generation like talent, right? And I know
Yep.
that it was like a group effort and stuff, but like that Hulk Hogan would have just been like a memory in the past, and like maybe he
Yeah.
should have stayed in the past, but
Well, yeah.
still, like it is to take something that was so well known and be able to help transform it into something else. It's pretty incredible.
And he did the same thing for Sting. Like Crow Sting was his invention. And that gave Sting, I mean, Sting's still doing that.
He's
Like
still doing
he's
it.
still doing it. And like that's Scott Hall. Scott Hall was the guy to be like, yo, that the surfer thing doesn't work, but have you ever seen the Crow? Like what if we did that? What if we give him a baseball bat? Like all of that. Like he was such a visionary. People use visionary all the time to the point where it has no meaning. Scott Hall was a visionary.
But a
And
visionary too
yeah.
that like not only cared about himself but cared about the way
Yes.
um the whole product was like to a
Hmm.
lot of people. Like I have a theater background. I work in theatrical spaces. Like I collaborate with a lot of people. It is not easy to come up with an idea, know that it's not right for you, but know that somebody else could use it and give it to them, right? There have
Hmm.
been many
Hmm.
like burlesque acts where I'm like, man, this is a really smart act. It's not really my style. You know whose style it is? This person. I'm going to like talk to them about it. And like, I'm not like saying I'm a visionary or anything, but I'm just saying that like that is
You're not a visionary or revolutionary.
no, but I've helped people come up with some really good burlesque acts. So
Mm.
maybe I'm a burlesque revolutionary. Just kidding.
Hey, if look,
No, I'm
if
just
Seth
saying
can be a revolutionary, you can be a revolutionary.
I'm just
So,
saying in a business, especially in a business like wrestling where it is a lot of times every man for its own, to
mm.
be like, no, the ship's ride, or what is it?
A
The
rising tide lifts all
Yeah,
boats.
a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, yeah, I want us all to succeed because if you succeed, I succeed.
Hmm.
Here, let's do this, And I know I'm not saying everybody was like super selfless or whatever, but that is pretty incredible to be like, no, this is a team effort. We have to do
Hmm.
this together.
And still get paid.
Yeah.
Like he was still about his money. But you're right. He was never selfish. He was never petty to that degree. It was always
I
about,
mean, it was
all
Monday Night
right,
War, so everybody was selfish and petty, but
yeah. He was never selfish and petty within the company. Of
yeah.
like, all right, look, here's what we need to do to be better. Here's what we need to do to be on top. Whether it's Hogan, whether it's Sting, whether it's Nash, whether it's anyone in the NWO, whether it's anyone outside of the NWO. I mean, whether it's I mean, I'll never forget the when DX invaded WCW and in Norfolk, Virginia, Scott and Kevin tell this story that they were on the other side of the gate where DX was at the arena, and they were like, "Yo, open it! Like this would be great." Like it's just he knew how, like you said, there's the theatrical. Like he understood the
Yeah, it's
theatricality of the
storytelling.
sport. Yes, and he understood. Okay, if they're on USA right now, and we come out of this gate and we're on their TV interacting with them,
Yeah,
that's a
what are they
boost
gonna do?
for us.
Run us over? They're not gonna
Right.
kill us on TV.
Exactly.
They should open the gate.
Are they gonna cut it? No, they're not gonna cut it. They're gonna keep it going. So we'll be on their TV promoting our company and our brand and us as wrestlers. It's like, of course you should do it. And obviously they didn't. It's just, again, he just got it. He just completely got it. And I know he had a lot of personal demons. What wrestler from that era
Yeah.
doesn't, unfortunately.
What wrestler,
And
what performer, honestly, what kind of, you have to be broken in your brain a little bit to be like, pay attention to me.
right, right. And and luckily he was able to fight those demons, win that battle, get himself back together. And I know you said routine, but like I remember my boy was just talking to me about it at a funeral, ironically, that he did some research on hip surgery recently, just because his parents are getting up
Yeah.
there. We all start to think about that the older our parents get, and he was just like, hip surgery is not routine at all. Like he said, the amount of things that can go bad from a hip surgery, just because
Extreme.
of where everything is connected, like those veins and like everything. he said it's really insane the amount of things that can go back from hip surgery, and Scott unfortunately was one of those casualties.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like, it really does suck. Like you said, it sucks seeing the people. Like, I always say it sucks seeing Shawn Michaels get old because it's just like, yo, but I grew up watching you. You're getting old. That means
That means
I'm getting
I'm
old,
old.
right? But it
I do,
sucks even more seeing them pass. Like, it just
yeah.
really hurts. Yeah.
I do think it says a lot about a person that when they pass, especially celebrity, like, you know, especially somebody who's a game changer, there are going to be a lot of people that say, oh, this person changed my life, or I like watching them. But the amount of personal stories that come out, and the fact that him and Kevin Nash are still friends and
Mm,
still best friends and still like
mm,
brothers, like that
mm,
speaks to somebody's like character, right? Like how maintaining those relationships and like being there for like younger generation and like having these positive stories just speaks to what kind of person he was. And we have lots of other stuff to talk about, but we could talk about Scott Hall forever, but it was just a lot. And my thoughts are with his family and with Kevin Nash and with people that, X-Pac, like the people that were important to him. But the legacy that he left will like be a part of wrestling forever.
yeah. To the chagrin of a bunch of people at the time, whether you like it, whether you don't, the Click changed wrestling. They just did. And when a member of the Click passes or gets sick or whatever, it's going to be a monumental deal, for a lot of reasons. Like, yes, they were pains in the asses, especially my favorite wrestler. God, was he a pain in the ass? But I'm wearing his shirt right now, actually, too.
Well, I'm wearing
But
a Sami Zayn shirt, so we're both wearing pain in the ass shirts.
no,
See,
that works.
I got
Okay.
my Sami Zayn forever shirt.
Yeah, and
My
I got my Heartbreak Kid shirt. That's it. It's just Heartbreak Kid. But like, there's a reason the Click is as renowned as they are. There's a reason all that love outpoured for Scott. There's a reason why everyone, even if they didn't like Scott at the time, they became friends with Scott. Like Jericho said, they weren't the best of friends back in the day for a lot of obvious reasons, but they became good friends. And I'm pretty sure Jericho also appreciated what Scott did for Jericho's bank account because ultimately that's what these wrestlers care about at the end of the day. It's either cash or it's creative. And Scott did a lot for both.
Well, let's move on to another bummer subject. Biggie broke his
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah, we're just a bowl of sunshine
It's
today.
not my fault. We'll get to Duncan and Cody Rhodes
Yeah.
in a second, so we'll make everybody happier. But yeah, that was really scary. The
that was
So
insane.
Biggie broke his neck in a match. Ridge Holland did a move, and it went poorly, and
Mm,
Biggie is paying the price. Thankfully, through updates, the break is not as bad as it could have been. There's no spinal contusions or anything. It looks like he'll be able to heal in a way that he'll be able to wrestle still. Hopefully, knock on
mhm.
everything. Oh my God, knock on everything. He is in good spirits. Can you imagine breaking your neck and then releasing a video less than a couple hours later just to tell your fans and the people who are worried about you, hey, I'm going to be okay? Like, I'm tearing up again. Like, Biggie is like top 5 favorite wrestlers for me. And
Mm,
because he's an incredible wrestler, he's so funny, but he's also really good in the ring. But also because he's just like a legit dude. Like, his career at that point when he released that video, he didn't know if he would have a career anymore, right? Like
mm-mm,
neck breaks take people out. We know that. We've seen that many, many times. And the fact that he like cared so much about the people that he worked with and the people who were watching and scared for him to take time out of his trauma to be like, hey, I hear you. I'm kind of doing okay. I will give you updates. I love you all. Like, that is just like the classiest fucking stuff. And he is incredible. And I am sad that he broke his neck. I'm really happy that it's not worse. I love Biggie a lot. And now I'm crying, so you have to talk.
okay, so I'll take over from this point. It was really, it was a shock. Like, I'm
It
not
was
even just
so
scared. Like, it was a
scary.
shock that it happened, and I'm really glad he's okay for a lot. The same reasons you said. He is just a good dude from by all accounts. Obviously, we don't know him, but
Well, he
Be
did
a,
he did make me a birthday cameo once. Somebody bought
oh, well,
a
never
birthday
mind.
cameo
Okay,
for me,
well,
and he recorded it for like 4.5 minutes, and it was
oh,
incredible. So
okay,
I
well,
don't know him, but based on that, I think he's a legit.
he's a good dude. He's a good dude, and clearly love beyond measure. I'm just happy he's okay. Like
Yeah,
really, like that's I'm happy he's okay. Like even if he couldn't wrestle again, the fact that he can walk again, the
yeah.
fact that he can still walk, that he can still live his life, and do again, he'll be back in the ring. Hopefully, like you said, knock on everything. But even if that doesn't happen, the man can still live a life and have a career and have a family and do all the things that us normal people do.
It's just a
Um,
reminder that like wrestling is, you know, it is storyline based. It is the matches are predetermined. Yes, it is like a skill and choreographed and stuff, but like it is still very dangerous. And these people
yeah,
who we love and hate and boo and whatever and cheer, they are still putting their bodies on the line, their mental health on the line, and frankly, their lives on the line a lot of the times. And like it is okay to be critical of the things that you watch. You should be critical of the things that you watch, but also like th- they are really putting it all out there for our entertainment, and that is something that should be applauded a lot more than it is.
yeah, it's one of those moments where you just realize, oh, they're people too.
Yeah.
You have to always keep that in mind. Like they're human beings with the same foibles and flaws that we all have, and one of those flaws is we're made of bones that break.
Yeah.
And there's a reason they do those "do not try this at home" things. Before every WWE theme, before the video game. Before 2K22, there's a "do not try this at home." I remember back during the Attitude Era, they had the still shot, not still shots, but they had like the shots of the wrestlers and
Yeah.
their voiceovers just saying, so it was like, I suffered this, I suffered that, I suffered this, I suffered that, 2 broken hips, 1 broken neck, but like, all these tough guys, Austin, Undertaker, Rock, all of them just saying all the injuries they've encountered over their careers, whether it's in wrestling or whether it's just football or whatever. And then it end with like Austin being like, "Don't try this at home" or something like that. And as a kid, I was always like, "Man, whatever. I'm gonna go outside and powerbomb somebody
Well,
right
yeah.
now.
I mean,
Whatever."
we all were like, whatever. We have trampolines. We do what we want.
Right? I got a couch, bro. I'm good. I'm good with this couch. Like I actually I super kicked a friend's tooth out once. Like that's how serious it was with us.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but again, there's a reason for that. And if you are a young person listening to this and you think you're invincible, like we thought we were invincible, we were in that age. You're not.
You're not.
Please don't. Just don't. Leave it
I
to the
like that you're
professionals
turning
because
this podcast into a PSA.
I'm trying. I mean, look,
No teenager is going to listen to
yeah,
us.
look. Just you're not invincible. You're not all Darby Allen. All right.
You're not Cody Rhodes, okay? You're not the infallible Cody Rhodes, the
you're
unbreakable Cody Rhodes, the bleeding.
Cody Rhodes, the giver, the birther of the emancipator. Yes. Yes.
The
The
big
yeah.
Cody Rhodes update is there is no Cody Rhodes
Yeah,
update.
that's the big update for Cody is that he might be at Mania, he might not be at
They
Mania.
they set up Monday Night Raw so
Mm,
hard for a
mm,
Cody Rhodes reveal. Seth
mm.
Rollins is out here being like, I don't have an opponent. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try and take Kevin's idea. And Kevin was like, excuse me. A, I thought we were friends. I guess I was destined to never have a friend. B, I already have this segment. And also like, I hated that because that kind of undercut all of the stuff that was going on with KO and Stone Cold anyways. But like, obviously Seth wasn't going to win. So then Seth is out here, just like, I don't have anything to do. I'm looking sad. Perfect opportunity for, his opponent for a show that's like 2 weeks away to come out.
Yeah, it's Mania's creeping up.
Maybe it's
Creeping up really
very
fast.
close. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if Cody doesn't sign, Seth could interfere, like try challenge for the IC. I guess there's no challenge for that right now.
Yeah, I guess he could do that.
I guess he could do it
But
for
we're
the United States Championship, but there are kind of storylines around there. There's no official matches, but like I guess Seth could just insert himself into into them. At this point, if Cody doesn't sign, he's gonna have to insert himself somewhere if he wants to be on the card.
I mean, he could always come out and just cheer for Becky.
Yeah, be like, can I get a paycheck for being a cheerleader?
Yeah.
I would
Or he
pay
could,
money to see Seth Rollins in a cheerleading outfit.
or he could host. He could host Mania. Like we talked about that last week. Just let him host and let him and Bailey do dual hosting.
Yeah, but he's such like a heel right now that he would either have to host and do like pull a Miz and be like, I am the greatest host. This was totally the plan the whole time. Everybody pay attention to me. Or it would accidentally turn in him like pouting the whole time and making like WrestleMania that might suck might already suck turn into like a little negative like wine fest.
Come on, Stella. It's going to be stupendous from what I'm told.
Oh yes, I forgot. I forgot. Well, I think this is a good transition into what's living rent free in your head this week, which is
Which is the awful bill for WrestleMania. The awful, and not and by awful I mean this. So, like you just said a couple minutes ago or a couple seconds ago, time has no meaning. Wrestling is about storylines. Okay, there are at least not just KO and Seth, but the tag team division. So the Raw Tag Team Championship, the United States Championship, and then if we even go to NXT, which we can talk, I'm lumping real quick just for standing.
yeah, lump it all in because like it's
Because
basically
yeah,
WrestleMania the pre-show. It's like
right,
NXT
right,
is WrestleMania the pre-show. A couple hours later is Mania Night 1 and then Mania Night 2. So like
right.
it should just be lumped in together, frankly.
So a lot of the angles are all, I don't have something to do at WrestleMania. I need something to do at WrestleMania. That's what the angles are.
I hate
You
it.
can't do one, that's a stupid angle. Two, why are you doing that for multiple people? There should,
Right.
like, if you're going to do a story, let that, if that's the thing you're doing for Seth, cool, do it for Seth.
Right, it would make sense if it was just Seth, right? Because he's in this
Yes.
like like he was part of a tag team, or he was kind of in the picture with Roman and stuff, but then he got bumped out of that, and he was in the
Hmm.
elimination chamber, but he's not in that storyline anymore. He was in the elimination chamber, right?
He was. Yep.
Okay,
He
okay.
was. Yep.
Goldfish memory. He was part of the tag division. He's not anymore. So like it does storyline wise, it kind of makes sense for Seth, but it
Hmm.
only makes sense for Seth.
It doesn't make sense for Rhea and Liv to be like, well, we need something to do at WrestleMania, so we're going to go after the tag titles. It doesn't make sense for for what we're doing now in NXT, where it's like, hey, this person may not be on the card to stand and deliver. Like that's their whole thing, and it's so indicative of a company that truly has no idea what they're doing at this moment,
Yeah.
because the storylines themselves or the fact that no one has anything to do.
Honestly, they are banking on, well, everybody watches WrestleMania, so do
Yep.
we
So it
even
doesn't
have
matter.
to have
Right.
I think it was I know my opinion has changed over this so much, but based on the build right now, I think it was a mistake to make Mania 2 nights. Like it is giving them way too much it's giving them way too much wiggle room in their heads. To me, it seems like they're like, "Oh, we have X amount of hours to fill, so we must fill it." Instead of just being like, "Okay, we WrestleManias were getting too long.
Mm.
So if we split them into 2 nights, we can have the matches that we would have, and we would just have 2 acceptably long shows." But now it feels like, and I haven't seen the final cards or whatever, but now it feels like, oh, we just gonna have 2 really long shows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm.
exhausting.
Yeah, it's really exhausting, and it is. Look, man, I'm all about. Last year's WrestleMania was great. The 2 night thing was great. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was awesome. It was a fantastic show all around.
Because they had constraints and they had to deal with them.
Yes, and exactly, and that's so. What is it? What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Right.
And when you have to do something within a certain parameter, then you make it better. The minute you give them their own network where they can run anything as long as they want, the minute you say, well, you can give us 2 nights of it, okay, cool, you do that, because obviously it's not just WWE Network now, it's Peacock. Of course Peacock wants 2 nights of it. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't NBC Universal want two
They want
nights of
that
it? Of
money
course.
because
Of
Mania is gonna pull
course.
numbers.
Right,
People
of
who
course.
don't watch wrestling weekly still tune in for Mania. Like,
Right.
it is a
It's the Super Bowl.
brand.
It's the Super Bowl. If you don't watch football, cool, but you watch the Super Bowl, even if
Right.
you're just watching for the commercials or for the halftime show. My sister just watches for the halftime show. That's all she cares about. She watched the first half, Halftime show came on. Halftime show was ended. She went to bed. That's it. That's all she cared about. So it's just I'm just stunned at how lackluster, not even lackluster. Let me think. How haphazard it feels.
Haphazard, yeah.
It just all feels just like very fucking slapdash. I'm just like, yep, let's just do this. Let's just do this. Let's just do this. Okay, cool. We'll do it. It'll work because it's Mania, and it
It's
doesn't really
indicative
matter.
of a larger problem of that, like, because WWE is like a lot of comic books where they come up with a new idea and they're like, great, we're going to put all of our money, we're going to put our big authors on it, we're going to put our big wrestlers in it, we're going to do this. This is the storyline we're doing. Oh, it's not successful within the first 5 issues. It's not
Mm.
successful within the first like 2 weeks of us running it. We're done. Canceled. We'll start again. This is a whole nother conversation. Whatever. I'm just saying they don't give things time to breathe.
So
They don't
right.
give things
Yeah, right.
time to
Vince is very impatient.
right. They don't give things
Yes.
time to find their footing. And people can start to like it, but by the time you like it, by the time you've invested in it, it's canceled, it's switched. And it
Hmm.
happens so much. And because of that, it's one thing if that's happening in August or in, September. But if that's happening in January and February and like the big months leading up to WrestleMania, that's a problem because
It's a
then you
big
don't have
problem.
storylines that are going into Mania. And when you're canceling things in August and September and stuff, you're not letting storylines build and grow. Like it is very telling to me that there was an article released on Cageside today that I think today or yesterday that was like Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn wasn't originally the plan,
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
just caught fire. And now that's one of, honestly, to me, that's one of the most compelling matches on the whole flipping card is the
I
celebrity
agree.
match because it's one of the only matches with a real storyline.
I agree. It has a storyline. It has continuity. It has all the things that we want in wrestling. It has two compelling characters. And they are diametrically opposed. And I understand their
Yeah.
beef with each other. Yeah, that's wrestling. And I mean, even like you were saying, Seth's whole thing from what January to February was basically Roman.
Hmm.
And then Brock Lesnar. Oh, that's right. We need the title on Brock. So now we have to find something to do with you. And it's so indicative of not just everything you said, but of someone, Vince McMahon, who rips things up at the last minute and works on things to the very last minute and doesn't believe in those things because he doesn't think the audience cares. Because
Or
he
he
doesn't care.
he makes a decision like, well, it's going to go to Brock, whatever. And like that was you know, there are faults within that, but as we've said many times, the Roman Brock stuff is the most compelling thing. But
Hmm.
so Vince or whoever was focused on that, but didn't think about, okay, well, if Seth loses, what does Seth do? If
Exactly.
Big E loses, what does Big E do? So like
Exactly.
you're burning storylines and burning characters and burning potential to build up one story, which is fine, but there was no need to burn everything in its path. You just needed to make choices for everybody instead of just one choice.
No, now here's an example I'll use from comics, and then we'll move on to what's your living rent free in your head. As we all know, you listeners, I'm a Spider-Man fanatic, so I read Spider-Man every week. And
'Cause
as
it
of right
comes
now,
out every week.
you're damn right it does, and I love it.
The Spider-Man
So
publishing calendar is insane.
it's every week. That's the insanity part. So as of right now, Ben Riley is Spider-Man. But that's a story that we've done for a couple months now. Ben Riley is Spider-Man. Obviously, if you've read comics for longer than 5 minutes, you know Ben Riley's not going to permanently be Spider-Man. Peter Parker's going to come back. Peter came back, so now we're building to this eventual clash between the two of them. Um, but because solicitations come out weeks in advance, we know, oh, they're still going to do something else with Ben Riley once Peter takes over again.
Right.
Okay, cool. And that's what you're talking about. Yes, we know that to get from point A to point B, we're going to have Ben Riley in between that. Peter needs to get from point A to point B. What's a compelling story to tell with Peter? Oh, well, if we bring Ben Riley in, okay, cool. But if we're going to use Ben Riley, what happens to Ben once Peter's back in the mantle?
Right.
Are we just done with him? No, we're gonna do something else with him.
Because you
Okay,
don't want to
good.
burn that character, but you also don't want to burn the readers who spent that time getting invested, right? You
Exactly.
shouldn't want to burn the watcher who cried me when Biggie won Money in the Bank and then
Exactly.
cried me when Biggie won the championship. Like, I'm burned
Exactly.
by that storyline.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
mad.
And it's the same thing with Kofi. The same exact thing. Like that was such an emotional moment when Kofi won.
Yeah, Kofi
And
Mania
then
is the greatest WrestleMania moment of all time.
right, and then he was immediately, and not immediately, and then months later he's fed to Brock Lesnar, and that's that.
Yeah.
That's that. And then it's for me anyway, just thinking as objectively as possible, that burns Kofi. Now it's like, okay, well, he got chumped out by Brock.
Well, it's just lazy writing, right? Like,
Yes.
if you are in charge of writing a universe, they say WWE universe. If you're in charge of writing a universe, you have to write the universe. You can't just write one character and hope everything else falls into places. Like, yeah, what you're writing with Brock and Roman is working, is very good, but almost everything else on the card is trash.
Which
So,
goes
like,
back to the thing I say every week in our Slack. They only care about two people. I'm sorry, four people, maybe five. Brock, Roman, Charlotte, Becky, Ronda.
Rhonda.
That's it. If you're not one of those five people, tough. Figure it out. Sorry. We got
Be
nothing
like
for you.
Kevin Owens and call Stone Cold and be like,
Yeah,
"Can
yeah,
you
call
help?"
call call out a legend. It's so crazy
Be
to
like
me that
Dolph Ziggler, go to NXT.
or that it's so crazy to me that they are still like, look, I understand Austin is a legend. Love Austin. Yes. It's crazy to me though that we are at WrestleMania. What is this? 30 whatever.
Yeah,
What they don't even count anymore.
30
We're at we're,
something.
yeah, we're at WrestleMania 30 something. Austin, the last WrestleMania Austin was at was when they were in the teens. And we are still using Austin to sell tickets. Like, what does that say about your current product
Yeah,
if you're still using Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to sell tickets? It doesn't say anything good to me. I'm
doesn't say
sorry, it
anything
just
good.
doesn't.
You can build on nostalgia and have nostalgia be a draw, but it can't be the only thing. Like, to give AEW credit, like AEW has some big nostalgia draws. Like the flippin' Hardy
Mhm.
Boys were there
Hardy,
last
the
night.
Hardy brothers. They're the Hardy brothers now.
Whatever, they will never be the Hardy Brothers. They will be Hardy Boys with a Z. That's who they are. You can, whatever. But they were there last night. Jericho is there.
Mhm.
Sting is there. Like
Mm.
I'm AEW doesn't shy away from nostalgia, but
Mm-mm.
they also build up new stars. One of their biggest stars is Jungle Boy. Like,
Mhm.
I was really into indie wrestling and I barely knew who he was before he joined AEW. Or Dante Martin. When
Mm.
Dante Martin's on my TV, I'm so excited. Hangman Adam
Mhm.
Page, like, he was known on the indies before and like in ROH and stuff, but like he really came into his own in AEW. Like, it has to be a balance, and WWE struggles with that balance. And
Yep.
then when somebody does break through, like a Becky Lynch, they're like, well, here is all of the eggs. Here, have them. Do you need a basket? We have a basket. You can have that. Everybody else, you know what? You did it. You're the one. You're the one that broke through. So we'll have all the nostalgia, you, and then, some people whose names I forgot.
Yep, that's pretty much how it
Finn
works.
Balor has a belt, and I genuinely forget that he exists until he's on my TV. And I'm like,
Pretty
oh,
much.
yeah,
And
Finn
now
Balor.
he's beefing with Damian Priest.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Seth Rollins should just go into that fight.
I would love to see that actually. Seth and Finn, that's the rematch of the first Universal title thing from
Yeah,
SummerSlam years ago. I
that would
would
be
love to
great.
see that. That would be fun. That's interesting. Seth. I mean, obviously, Seth would have to be really, 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 really petty at this point to be like, "Yo, you beat me all those years ago for that title, and you were the first, and I wasn't." But at
Who
least there's a
cares?
story there, right? There's a
Seth
story
Rollins'
there.
character is always petty, so it's fine.
Right. Yeah, there's a story there. He's maniacal. He can just be like, yeah, well, I'm mad at you, Finn, because of that. It's better than him looking at that WrestleMania sign with a tear in his eye. Just be like, dude, what? Like, come
Though, shout out to
on.
him. He is doing a good job looking broken.
He is doing the best with what he's given, and I applaud that. Yes. I just wish he was given better. So now that we spent all the time, what's living rent free in your head?
Thunder Rosa is the new AEW Women's Champion. About
Mm,
flippin' time.
word.
The If you listen to last week's episode, you know how I felt about the match. It felt just like a placeholder because
Right.
it was a placeholder. It very
Right.
much was. But the cage match I thought was really good. I thought that they did a good job doing some homages to their past acts or their past matches. And I mean, they just have very good chemistry. Like, they just
Mm,
really have good chemistry. My one complaint about it, and I think it's a fair complaint that we kind of touched on earlier, that I know a lot of people have said, like, the ending was rushed, and that's a
mm-hmm.
bummer because they put all that time and energy into it. And there were a lot of things on AEW Dynamite that didn't need to be there. They could have given
Mm,
that, they should have given a steel cage match. Like, that's going to take time. I mean, even just bringing the cage down takes time. Like, it's a match that eats a lot of time. So give it time. There were things on the card that didn't need to be on the card. Like, you have two shows. Also, people will believe in your storylines for longer than a week. Like, let it rest, right? They should have given that match more time because the ending did feel rushed and that did take a little of the, you know, excitement out. Like, I wish I could have seen Thunder Rosa celebrate longer and, like,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but all of that stuff aside, it's just very satisfying. We speak about long-term storytelling. This wasn't perfect. There were some bumps in the road, but Britt and Thunder Rosa basically told a year-long storyline that ended almost to the day with Thunder Rosa getting her just desserts and getting that belt. And that was really dope. The female mariachi band to sing her out,
That was great.
super cool.
Yeah.
The, Aubrey coming out and after the other ref was knocked out and, like, counting and the thumbtacks, like, it was
Mm-hmm.
just very
Mm-hmm.
visceral. And regardless of how you felt about the match itself, I personally liked it, to each their own. I am happy that Thunder Rosa has the belt now because I loved Britt as champion. She did a lot for that show. She did a lot for that division. She will be champion someday again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was time for Britt to drop it, and Thunder Rosa was absolutely the right person to do it. And I'm very excited. And it's exciting to have a face champ. Like, we've had a
Mm-hmm.
heel
Mm-hmm.
champ for a long time. I personally hesitate to call Jade a heel. I think she's more of just like a
No, Jade is whatever she wants to be at any
Jade is
given
whatever
moment.
she wants to be. She's
Yeah.
like more of a tweener at this point now because she was
Mm-hmm.
definitely a heel, but she's now coming into more of like tweener character
And
territory.
I think it's because people, like you said last week, people are seeing her personality, and people
Yeah,
are
because
just
she
like,
rules.
oh well, she's funny, so I got to cheer for her because she's just
Right.
funny. Yeah.
But it will be a nice change of pace to have a women's face champ who we all have grown to love, but also who
Mm-hmm.
is good on the mic, who is
Mm-hmm.
given time to be good on the mic. Because we've had face champs before, like Riho was a face champ, but she didn't get a lot of screen time
Mm-mm.
as champion and didn't get time to, like, cut promos and stuff. But we know Thunder Rosa can cut a killer promo. Like, we know that. So it's just exciting. To have a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Latinx woman as champion of a big company is also great. And to have a Latinx woman who revels in it, right? Like, she had the female mariachi band. She, like, does
She
like
loves her heritage. Her
she loves
heritage
her
is a big
heritage.
deal to
She
her.
wears
Yep.
her flag. Like, that is super
Mm-hmm.
important. And I'm just excited for the future of Thunder Rosa as champion.
The thing that I love the most about it, I'm gonna touch on what you said of how the visceralness. I loved how violent the match was. It was a violent
Yeah,
match.
because they hate each other. It wasn't
Exactly,
violent for no reason.
and that's the thing that I love from wrestling. And both companies struggle with this. I would say AEW is a little bit better with it, but both companies struggle. Like, so this isn't a like WWE thing. No, this is an AEW thing too. When the match type need to fit the beef.
Yep.
These two do not like each other. It is an intense hatred that's gone on for a long time. So when they get in the ring and it's a cage around them, it needs to be all violence. It does not need to be soft. There needs to be blood. Sorry, Cody, they took your spot. Like, it just needs to be. It needs to feel like I'm watching something from the 80s or 90s. It's a blood feud, like, in every sense of the word. And because they have such good chemistry, because you know that they actually want that blood, like I love the little touches of Thunder Rosa cutting Britt and then just basically doing everything to make her bleed more. Like she did everything in her power. She either hit it on her forehead or she beat her against the chain or she beat her with something else. Like it was brilliant. It's just brilliant character stuff of just like, I dislike you so much. I want you to bleed like a stuffed pig right now. Like this is what I want. This is what I need. And Britt doing that spot with the chairs, props to Britt. Like, yes, Thunder Rosa gets all the props for winning and for just being dope, but Britt has to sell and Britt has to make her look like $1,000,000, and she did. And also props to Britt for taking that fall on those chairs that she set up, which did not look fun at all. um, it just, I love Thunder Rosa. I want to see what this division looks like with her on top of it, and I want to see what those challengers look like with her on top. And I kind of want to see what happens with Britt's group. Like they're
Yeah.
obviously she left Rebel and Jamie Hayter in the back last night. Does Jamie Hayter say, "All right, man, you don't got the juice anymore.
She should.
Let me go ahead and try to get this Thunder Rosa. Let me get this belt because you don't have it."
I mean, that's a good like stopgap feud too, right? Like Britt
Yeah.
can't go for the belt. I mean, they might do like try and do a rematch, but like we need Britt away from that belt. So
Mm-hmm.
to have Jamie Hayter be like, "No, I'm going to go for the belt," and then start like a mini feud between them, like that is
Mm-hmm.
good. We just talked about like what is the fall off of the storyline. Okay, so Britt's not the champion anymore. What happens to her? That is a good continuation. There are
Mm-hmm.
some things that they can do to keep Britt away from the belt for a while. I mean, you talk all the time about Serena Deeb. Like,
Oh yes, she showed
what's
up
this?
last night. I loved it so much. It's in our Slack, I even wrote Serena and exclamation points in all caps. I love her so much.
So
But
like,
you're right. Like,
there's a lot of potential stuff to do with Thunder Rosa as champion, and it is exciting.
yeah, or even I mean, like once Serena's done with once she's done with Sheeta,
Again,
wi- again, right? Because they're going to keep doing this forever, forever. Even her going after Britt would be fun. Just
Mhm.
on some, all right, I proved I feel like I'm the best. You were just the champion. Let me holler at you real quick, and
Yeah.
then I'll
How
go
do I
after the
get a
real champion.
championship match? Well, I'll
Right.
beat you and get
Yeah,
makes
like
sense.
whatever. I'm really more so interested though to see who challenges Thunder Rosa. I know I said that, but I'm really interested to see that because it gives other people a chance who we haven't seen in that picture. Hopefully, like we saw Anna Jay, we saw Ty Conti to a degree. Like we've seen a bunch of these women.
Ruby, I would like Ruby to
Ruby.
come back.
Yeah, like where's Ruby? Like Ruby, or yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know if they're ready for this yet, but they're eventually going to have to. They're going to have to do it eventually. Maybe Thunder Rosa gets beat by Jade. Like you can't deny that train that much longer. Like I don't know how
I
long they
think
can
they
deny
can.
it. How
We'll
long we
see.
talking? How long we
I love
talking?
how he was like, "Who wants an opportunity?" And Jade goes, "An opportunity? It's charity." She's the best. She
Oh,
rules.
she's great. But it's just cool. Like it's just really cool that and I know they said, oh, they're the first women to have a cage match with AEW. And in my head, I was like, how many cage matches have y'all had in AEW
They
period
haven't
though?
had a
Like,
ton.
right. But they're one of the few
Well,
singles matches in the cage.
JR has to constantly point out that it's the women. He literally started talking about their Barbie dolls and stuff. Like whatever.
Uh,
That's a whole nother thing. So yay to Thunder
yeah.
Rosa. Let's
Yes.
move
Yeah.
on to a
Yes.
question. We
All
have a
right.
question from Michael. It says, at this point, just a few weeks away from Mania, what is the match you're most excited for? Well, we talked about a bunch of things we're not excited for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Personally, whatever. I don't care if I sound like a poser. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn is the match that I am currently most excited for because it has one of the best storylines going into Mania. I'm literally wearing my like Sami Zayn
She
Jackass
is.
Forever knockoff shirt that I
She
had to
is.
find on like Redbubble or something because WWE's stupid and didn't make them.
Mm-hmm.
But not only do I think it has that compelling nature to it, but Sami Zayn has been so good in this feud. He has been so good on the mic, good in the ring. And Johnny Knoxville is bananas. Like, he's literally built a career on being crazy. And so, do I think that this match will be, a technical masterpiece? No, but Sami Zayn is a technical master of a wrestler. So, if he's
He
working with
is.
Johnny Knoxville, like, am I expecting Johnny Knoxville to pull a Bad Bunny and do a Canadian Destroyer? No. Would I be shocked if Johnny Knoxville pulled a Bad Bunny and did a Canadian Destroyer? Also, no. I'm excited because I know it will fulfill the storyline. I know that both of them are great performers. I'm invested, but also because of that wild card factor, anything could happen.
I will take your Jackass Forever match and raise you it's not announced yet, but it's going to happen. The assumed triple threat tag match between RK Bro, Alpha Academy, and Street Profits.
I mean, that is going to slap so hard. How do you feel about this, like, kind of Street Profity heel turn? Like, it wasn't a whole heel turn, but it was
No, I
skirting the
like it.
territory.
Yeah, I like it because they need to show that they need they need that energy. I mean,
Yeah,
like they need that aggression, especially because they want the tag titles. Like
right,
they
and
feel
they're
like they
like,
deserve the tag titles.
"We show up, we do a good job, we make
Yeah.
everybody happy, we also win a decent amount." Like, you
Hmm.
think that we're a joke because we like to have a good time? No, no, no.
Right, and they should come with that hill vibe and just be like, "Yo, nah, man, like your party sucks," and yo,
That
like
party did suck.
it did
Randy may
suck.
have tried, but, like, just because you try doesn't mean that it won't
Yeah,
suck
you're
sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Like, yo, you're part like not only that, but yo, y'all don't deserve those belts. Like we already beat y'all. Like, like that's real, like that's legitimate. Like they beat them. And I thought the Profits should have won at some was that the Rumble? Were they those I think the Profits should have won at the Rumble. I think that was Rumble when they faced them. And they didn't. And I was like, all right, well, okay, whatever, fine. And based on the triple threat match we got not last week. No, it was last week on Raw. Not this most recent week, but last week on Raw. Between Alpha Academy, RK Bro, KO, and Seth. Yes, bring me more of that.
Yeah.
Bring me more of that. That was a great, great, great opening match on Raw.
I
Um,
usually don't want
yeah.
another triple threat. WWE has really ruined that for me because especially around Mania, it's like, I don't know, make it a triple threat, and that is exhausting.
Oh man,
But
we should talk about WrestleMania 2000, where that's all it was.
but in this instance, I would accept a triple threat.
Yeah, yeah, because and I think we're ready for the. Oh, okay, I'm ready for the end of RK, bro. Like I just don't know what else you can do with this thing. Like I don't know where else we can go with it. Randy showing different sides of himself and being like, "Hey, man, Riddle's my friend." All right, cool, but that's also a good setup for a feud.
You know what? I want, if they're gonna break up at this point, because I like this, like, character growth of Randy Orton. If they break up
I
at this
do.
point, I think that Matt Riddle should be the one that breaks him up.
That would be cool. That would be great
Like,
because yeah.
tell us a different story. We know what it looks like for Randy to leave a group and to beat people up and set people's houses
Hmm.
on fire and stuff. Like, we know,
And pose while he's doing it.
yeah, we know what that looks like. What does it look like when, High Guy does it?
And that would show a different side of him. And it would put Randy in a position he's never been in, and I would love to see that. And yeah, man, give the Profits the belt, like, or you know what, give it back to the Academy
I would
because
love, like, if we get RK Bro out of the scene and we get a feud between Street Profits and Alpha Academy for a while, like,
oh, thank
those
you. That's what I'll be saying.
I
Yeah,
want Street Profits to make fun of Chad Gable. Like, that would be great. Shoosh.
shoosh. Yeah, yeah. I need all that. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Obviously, Roman and I love the Roman and Brock story, but I've seen Roman and Brock so much. Like I'm not.
I just the fact that it is for both belts is a bummer to me. And, like, the
Mm.
storyline is the most compelling, and I've loved 90% of every time they're on TV. I did love Brock Lesnar just being like, "Oh, you better run, Paul. Oh, you better run." Uh,
He
but,
said he wants Roman's blood.
I am not personally super interested in a unification. Um, so, like, that is taking the wind out of my sails a little bit with that. But it
Especially
is
because we
what it
know
is.
it's probably not going to last long.
Yeah.
So like matches and storylines matter more to me when I know they're going to have permanent ramifications.
Right.
And yeah, this one won't.
And
This is
that is part of
purely
the
just.
reason why watching NXT is not that fun anymore.
I understand. I understand. I completely get it. But yeah, but that's what we got, Michael. Appreciate that. Next question.
Before we wrap up this week, we're going to do our quick lightning round. What do you got, Marcus?
Another, speaking of NXT, actually, another good Dolph Ziggler main event.
You're a Dolph Ziggler stan.
No. His
You
no,
gonna
no, no,
get
no, no,
a wig
no,
that looks fried
no.
and wear it? And I'm sure you got a Shawn
Nah.
Michaels cosplay. You could just put that on and call yourself
That's what he. I
Dolph.
mean, that's his whole career basically. But his match
He's
with
a
and it's
very
not.
good wrestler. It's annoying that
Yes.
he's a good wrestler because I want to dislike him deeply because there's something
Mm-hmm.
very irksome about him. But
Mm-hmm.
Dolph Ziggler is a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, and he's had these matches on NXT with very different opponents
Mm-hmm.
and done very different things with them. So this match with and again, LA Knight was great too. So, but it's just the NXT main event for the past 3 weeks, actually no, 4 weeks, consistently great. Whether it's Dolph and Ciampa, whether it's Dolph, Ciampa, and Braun, whether it's Dolph and LA Knight like we got this week,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was Mello and Cameron Grimes from 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, great. But this, what NXT 2.0 becoming Raw 2.0 last Tuesday annoyed me. You know, the Miz was there, Ray and Dominic were there. It's just like, what are we doing,
Ray
man?
dropped Dom off at wrestling school.
he told
Here's
him
your
not to.
lunch. I'll see
He
you
told
at
him not.
3.
Yeah, he told him not to mess with the big kids. And but yeah, but just that title match, and I'm really looking forward to Braun versus Dolph solo at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah,
Just down.
I think it's doing what it needed to do. Like it needed to give Braun, like Braun is a good wrestler. He is still really new, and so we had full part of the reason he had such a good first, run or rise to championship, the championship is because he had a good foil in Champa. But now they're
Mm-hmm.
like bros or whatever, or like, frenemies, whatever the hell they are. Like Braun needed somebody who would be a good antagonist. And Dolph
Mm-hmm.
Ziggler is very easy to hate. He's a great antagonist.
Especially because he's such a polar opposite of Braun.
Yeah.
Like just so different, and that's what Braun needs. Champa, like you said, friend of me and all that, but there's similarities there.
Yeah.
With them both being this, the tough, hard scrabble guys who are going to fight the hardest and they're going to beat everybody up. Whereas Dolph is the guy who's just like, I'm not beating everybody. Look, man, I'm better than you. I'm not even. Look, you have to be a certain level for me to even get out of bed in the morning. And Braun's not wired like that. So that's one thing. Speaking of Champa, is this going to be his last match at NXT at Stand and Deliver?
It sure felt like a farewell speech
Mm-hmm.
on Wednesday. We know he's got a new theme. He was on the Raw roster for a while. I don't know. It definitely feels like it is the end of Ciampa and NXT.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to put over Tony D on his way out the door.
Whatever, man. I think I enjoyed Tony D'Angelo at first because everybody was having a lot of fun on the internet. And now that we're like, the shine has worn off a little bit and we're not as like into the idea of the gimmick, and everyone the group think isn't there anymore, and now I've like been able to step back and be like, oh wait, this is maybe not that great. I don't know, there's something
yeah.
about Tony D'Angelo where it's like, I love a crazy gimmick. I love not that being like a mobster is crazy, but I like a gimmick where it takes over, right? I like Wendy Chu. I'm into it, whatever. But the gimmick can't be the whole thing, and I don't think he's a very compelling wrestler. And honestly, his feud with Pete Dunne was so lackluster to me that it really was just like, we're not really having fun on Twitter anymore, and this match is lackluster. I'm kind of over it.
So someone might say you forget about it. It's what you
I
did.
forget about it.
Yeah.
So just keep on the NXT train. One of the things I'm thinking about, one of my lightning round things is Cora Jade as a Saw villain.
See,
I
you went
love.
Saul. I immediately went Home Alone when she was doing that. I was like, oh, she's
Oh,
Kevin
that's funny.
McAllister right now.
I just
Yeah.
love that she was like setting up traps and then locking people in cages and being
Hmm.
like, "This is where you live now. You live in the trash." But also like them being stupid. Like, I'm gonna jump into this trash can. Like, just get a
It was.
step stool.
It reminded like I loved it because it's like I love some goofiness in my wrestling, and
Right.
that was my level of
It was
goofy. But
perfect.
yeah, but also just like it really reminded me of like so toxic attraction outside of Mandy. Are you all just kind of dumb?
Are you guys
Like is
dumb? I mean,
right.
JC was just walking the hallways, just punching her fist. I was like, okay, so we're dumb. That's fine. Like, we can be hot and dumb. That is a character choice. But like, but I
Yeah,
do also love that Mandy was not dumb. She
right.
like a villain, like a serial killer, like popped up in the backseat of the car and was like, you got to check your backseat, bro.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
like that she really took Cora Jade out. I thought that was a good button to that little storyline. You know, you got to be careful in the NXT parking lot, man.
Parking lot is dangerous. I mean,
That parking lot.
Ask the Creed brothers. They know what's good. Ask Hit Row. Ain't seen Hit Row since. They know what's good. Well, one more thing on that Lightning. Swerve had his first match on Rampage last week.
Oh yeah.
It was decent. It was decent. He looks like he's getting into a little beef with Team Taz,
Yeah, I
which
like that. Team
I
Taz is
like.
busy right now because they're like kind of doing stuff with Keith Lee, and I love
So it looks
Keith
like
Lee's
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
lately being like, "Who are you?" Everybody that comes to talk to him, he has big like, am I
Right.
supposed to Team Taz? That's who you okay. All right, QT Marshall, I guess. I will fight all of you, sure. I love the
Yeah.
big like I didn't learn anybody's name. It's beneath me.
Whereas Swerve is just like, Swerve is just basically looking for fights. He's
I
just like,
like that.
you're talking to the mic right now. My bad. This is my time. And he just comes in and I love that. Yeah, I love Swerve. I love the energy he brings. We talked about this before, but AEW and wrestling in general, like all wrestling companies, need differing characters, differing energy. And AEW right now has a plethora of that,
Yeah.
where I know Swerve is going to give me something in Keith Lee, like you just said. Keith Lee is just like, "Who are you? What's going on?"
It's the best.
Swerve is more like, "Yo, what's good? Where you at? Let's fight."
If I was a wrestler, that would be my vibe the whole time. Anytime anybody came up to me, I would be like,
Yeah,
what?
so
Who are you?
You and Keith Lee are basically doing the Mariah Carey of, "I
Yeah.
don't know her."
I
That's
don't
all that
know
is. I don't
her.
know her. But
um,
Keith Lee, someone's coming after you. I don't know her.
yeah. I mean, I'll
Uh,
fight. Like, I'm
yeah,
here, but
yeah.
I'm very busy. That's my tagline as a wrestler. I'm very busy.
All right,
And the last
what's
thing
the other
I'm
one?
thinking about is Regal on commentary. First of all, incredible. When he was
Hilarious.
like, "Man in mask, who is this demon wave?" Incredible. Tens aggressive board. I
Man
demand
in mask.
I demand a demon waif shirt immediately.
I
I need
want
it.
I I want a man in mask shirt. I just want that. Like that's Excalibur's shirt now. He just gave Excalibur some merch.
Uh,
Man in mask.
Regal is so good. But then, I mean, he's on commentary and he's like, I wish they would have punched me in the face. It was like, okay, Gracie. All right, I'm here. And then he goes to the ring to congratulate Mox and Brian, who I love their energy. I really genuinely never want them to have team music. I love the idea that they are still completely who they are and they come out in different ways and they continuously choose to be there together. And they're
Mm,
this faction made up of Goliaths. Like we are the best. Like we are
mm,
choosing to be here. I just
mm,
like that a lot. So then we have the three of them in the ring and Wheeler Yuta, who did a really good job in that match. I liked seeing this like more aggressive side to him and
mhm,
him
mhm,
coming up and being like, hey, like Regal kind of, putting his hand out and wanting to kind of get in on the faction and Regal just slapping the shit out of him. And then Wheeler Yuta like kind of getting up in his face and then Regal laughing about it. And then Mox and Brian, like two hyenas on Regal's shoulder, laughing too. I was like, this is a trio of sociopaths, and I am very into it. I loved it. I love that whole segment. And I'm curious to see if Wheeler Yuta, if something becomes of that, or if like other people step, like what's it gonna take to, get the nod of approval from Regal. Like, that was so good. I just want more of Regal slapping the shit out of people.
Did we speak this into existence? Because I feel like we mentioned Willer Yuta joining
Maybe we
them.
did. Good for
I
us.
swore we definitely said Willer Yuta.
Well, if we didn't, retconning it, we definitely did.
Yeah. So you're welcome, Wrestling World. We did that. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
All right, that's it for this week. Right? Nothing else?
No, that's it. Yeah, we're done.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
No more talking.
No more
We'll
talking.
be back next week with more snark, obviously, and equally fantastic opinions, and perhaps a Cody Rhodes update.
Oh, we're definitely gonna have a Cody update because I'm sure he's on Twitter right now looking at his mentions and just being like, I have to sign somewhere. I have to. If you'd like to be on the podcast, make sure to send your recorded questions and comments to CagesideSocials@gmail.com, and you might be featured on next week's episode, especially if you're Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody, send us a question.
Yes.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Cell_Cheeks.
And I'm at Abstract Poetic, a 3 with that E is supposed to be.
And of course, you can find more wrestling coverage at Cageside Seats on Twitter and Instagram.
And if we missed something you desperately want to talk about, because there was a lot of wrestling this week that clearly, Scott Hall and Biggie took up the oxygen in the room, so we get it. Head over to CagesideSeats.com and chat with us in the comments of this episode post.
Until next time, Cagesiders.
The tapes are always rolling.